Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Now today's first story is titled, Am I the A-hole for suggesting to my wife that we kick out our daughter and son-in-law? So I, 55 male, have a daughter, 27 female, and she has a fiance, 26 male, and they both live with us. My wife, 54 female, and I always try to make it very clear to our children growing up that they were always welcome to come home and live with us if anything happened. My daughter and her fiance had a really hard time finding a place to live after graduating, so we arranged for her to come stay with us. Her fiance has absolutely no family, and we absolutely adore him here, so we invited him to live with us too. That was 2.5 years ago. They had one interview with an apartment last year. That turned them down, but they haven't made much of an effort to move out. In fact, they're kind of freeloading and not moving anywhere in life. Our daughter really wants to do art, so she designs tattoos and sells some of her designs to a local shop, but that doesn't make a whole lot. Then our son-in-law really wants to be a movie editor, and he works part-time for a production company. They both really only make enough to cover their own expenses, health insurance, car payments, cell phone, etc. And they live here rent-free and don't seem to be doing much with their lives. They do some work, but they spend most of their time sleeping, having sex, and going out together to the movie theater. When I tried to bring this up to my wife and suggest we kick them out or push them to get actually decent paying jobs, she was appalled and asked what was wrong with me. She told me that she is our child and he is our future son-in-law and he has family too. And she said she couldn't even believe I'd suggest that. I told her I thought I was being perfectly reasonable since they aren't doing shit with themselves right now, and I don't want to enable them pissing away their lives. She told me I was acting like an ass, and as far as she's concerned, they're doing just fine because they're doing what they love for work while being surrounded by supportive and loving family members. Then added a, well, mostly at the end. I said I felt we should end the conversation and we moved on with what we were doing. Maybe it wasn't nice of me to do that, but it seriously annoys me to see my daughter wasting away at her potential while my other kids are going on to big things. Hell, her sister 4 years younger than her is in Australia right now. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I feel I should clarify something. I think it's safe to say that everyone in the situation knows they are freeloading. My wife no doubt knows it and is ignoring it, but both of the kids no doubt know it too. They don't let us pay a single cent for any of their expenses beyond the living situation. They even pay for all of their own food, toothpaste, shampoo and soap, and they take care of every single personal expense they have. I've also heard conversations my daughter and my sister-in-law had with my wife, and they absolutely know they're running in place in life. Also, one last thing I want to clarify is that they both have a theatre subscription that's like $20 a month, each for unlimited movies, at a nearby movie theatre. It's not like they're irresponsibly spending money willy-nilly on movies all the time. Now, I can understand OP's worries about, seeing their children not currently being responsible with things. They're doing stuff that they love by the sounds of it, which I'm all for, but you still need to be able to be responsible with your lives, etc, etc. Do I think kicking them out would be the right thing to do? I don't think that would help anything currently because, they're only just going to struggle further. I guess then the worry would come up that you're enabling them to continue their lives as they are now, by keeping them within the house and it's set and all this kind of thing. So I think realistically, all that really needs to happen. I know it's easy for me to say as always, but having that sit down conversation with them, maybe ask them about their future. Obviously you can't dictate, they're grown adults, but they may even appreciate having a conversation about their future goals, etc. And they may not want to talk, of course, but there may be some background worries that you don't know about. But Snoo Word says not the a-hole since wife is against kicking them out. Time for the rent and food conversation. They may be pursuing their dreams, but need to be responsible adults. Something you can do if you can afford it. Any money they pay you, put in an account for them, but don't tell them about it. Gift it when they are finally out and responsible. Armchair says, I'd lay down the ultimatum that they have to start contributing to the bills, or whatever they should be contributing can be added to whatever your wife puts towards household bills, since she wants them there so much. Comfortable Zebra says, not the a-hole, they're just being enabled at this point. Chasing dreams are great, but only after you can pay all of your own bills or have a set timeline to make real money. It will end up living off you forever unless they change. Time for rules, rent, and a plan. And one more comment from Rip Sunnydale, who says, not the a-hole. I'll bet there are lots of resources on how to gently push young adults out of the family home to be found online, because tons of posts on this appear each week. You need a timeline, perhaps a year, with quarterly milestones involving job research, job applications, housing research, savings and contributions to the household, chores, errands. Your wife is frankly delusional if she thinks her 27-year-old daughter is doing enough adulting by occasionally selling some drawings for $50 a pop. I wouldn't advise calling your wife delusional, of course. I'd advise booking a session with a family counselor and talking about the situation in that forum. I can pretty much guarantee that the counselor will agree that the 27 and 26-year-old couple is taking advantage of your generosity to delay having to become self-sufficient. Of course, the housing market sucks out there, but these two aren't even trying to find work to save money to move out. Try to get on the same page with your wife regarding a plan, then bring in the insufficiently motivated couple to lay it out for them. Counseling might seem extreme, but if you can't get your wife to stop thinking like a mother hen with yellow baby chicks, the next thing you know, you'll have a couple of new babies added to your full household, and you'll be hearing how their parents couldn't possibly afford a 2-bedroom apartment, pay for childcare, etc., etc. Damn, I didn't even think about that, about babies possibly turning up, randomly. But Opie comes in with an update and says, my wife and I decided to sit them down for a conversation, and we asked them what their short-term and medium-term goals were. Over the course of the conversation, my daughter started crying because apparently she thought she heard me call her a loser recently, which I absolutely didn't mean to do. And they told us they've been drowning in credit card debt. They have 5 cards and are 4K deep across them all. And they both have been going through some horrible depression. He's been on antidepressants for most of the time I've known him, and apparently she went back on hers recently, and my wife and I had no idea. They both said they know they are freeloading and are disappointments and burdens, and are wasting their times and wasting their prime years. I honestly was not at all expecting that. It actually made me feel horrible. I even entertained the idea of kicking them out. But they told us they do want to move out and get real jobs and start a family at some point. I told them both I was terribly sorry if I made them feel like I didn't think much of them, or that they were losers, because I'm very proud of her and love her so much, and that I was happy to have him as my son-in-law and have a daughter be with someone who clearly respects and cherishes her. Over the past 2 weeks, they've been submitting applications, and today they both got jobs at an AMC theaters nearly. They are working at the same location and are going to go to work together, and they have their first day on Thursday. They said once they get their finances in order, they'll figure out a monthly rent they'll pay us. My wife and I told them to please keep their money since it sounds like they need it badly right now, but they insisted. I'll admit, I did think they were being lazy and unmotivated at first, but I didn't realize they were in so much pain. I'm so proud of them for taking the next step and moving towards their own independence, and hopefully they'll achieve that dream of moving out and having a family soon. So yeah, that's the update. Edit. They told us that they were trying to downplay it because they were afraid we'd judge them, and collectively between the two of them, the total is closer to 6K in credit card debt. However, I still think it's nothing that they can't come back from, and if they both consistently work and are smart with finances, I'm sure they'll be debt-free by the end of the summer. Conversation wins the day again in this story, and I'm sure it's going to be a long road for them, and talking about depression and stuff got to be really bloody hard. I remember admitting it myself was a real struggle and real painful to admit. And we read these stories and we see that they, from the outside when we're reading these stories, that they're freeloading, and yes, they are, of course. But of course, I think it's important to find out what's the reason. Was there a chance of that they were just freeloading because it was easy? Of course there was, but having that conversation brought out a lot of information that OP originally didn't know about, and now they can tackle it in the best way for them and their family. Clearly, they're not happy with the situation and the way things are with them at the moment. They're going through depression, they got debts, they're worried about how their family's thinking of them, which we didn't know in that original story. And like many other Reddit stories, we can say, yeah, they're adults, they need to deal with their situation, but at the same time, we can say that their family, they need our love and support, which hopefully it sounds like this family is going to do. They're going to come together and work towards, yes, they're adults, of course, and you can say they should be dealing with it by themselves, but I know if any of my adult family came up to me and said they needed my support for whatever, yeah, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story, just to give you a warning, doesn't come with an update. It's from the Am I the A-hole subreddit from thatdisney, who asks, am I the a-hole for not removing the Disney items from my house? My 35 female husband, 38 male, and I are what you would call Disney adults. We used to work for the parks in college and met there. For us, it has sentimental value as well as being something we both loved from childhood. Now we're conscious not to be those Disney adults. We can hold conversations outside the movies and parks. We both work well-paying jobs unrelated to the company. We have other hobbies and interests. Our son isn't big on Disney, and we're cool with that. It's just something that we enjoy, as well as our daughters. We nurture all of our children's hobbies and interests. We also don't blow all of our money on this stuff. I know I may sound overly defensive, but we get a lot of comments from people who don't know us well. Anyway, we live in a renovated farmhouse on a bit of land that includes a barn that we finished off, with hopes to make it a guest house one day. In the meanwhile, we've had a relative get married here and it was gorgeous. Now my sister, 28 female, wants to get married on our property and we're all for it. Everything's been planned for months and the wedding is in June. It's set to be outside completely, but if it rains, we can move the party into the barn. The only reason a guest would have to go in our house is to use the bathroom. We have 2 on the first floor. The only Disney items are Winnie the Pooh hand towels. I told my sister I'd replace them with regular ones. Wedding space has no Disney items. However, she wants me to take down everything Disney on the first floor of my home. As guests will see, we have a lot of Disney items, pictures, paintings, blankets, Funko Pops, decorations, figurines, dishware, etc. all made for adults and a lot of it subtle or vintage. But you can tell it's Disney. 1. This would be a massive undertaking. It is not as simple as shoving stuff in a closet. We'd have to pack it up and find a place to store. The sheer amount require at least 2 hours of packing, not to mention storage and unpacking after. 2. It's ridiculous to me. Who cares if people see? She says it looks tacky and she doesn't want people to remember her wedding for that. I told her no. We are decorating the outside and barn as she wants, letting her use our property for free, which she keeps bragging about to friends as it's saving them a ton. When my husband and I stood firm, she whined to our parents who told us to grow up and take it down. I know what's probably in a lot of people's heads, but T-Gara says it straight away and says not the a-hole. Your sister doesn't want her wedding to be associated with Disney. Your sister wants full control of the space and decoration. I have an idea. She should rent her own venue. Seriously, enforce your boundary and say that's as far as you're willing to go. If she wants to change everything, she needs to rent a different venue. Crimson Knight says not the a-hole. She is making unreasonable demands on your home. Who cares if you decorated your home with Disney, dinosaurs or duckies? It's your home. You're doing her a huge favor by letting her use the barn and property for free. She's being a choosing beggar right now. If the Disney decorations are that much of a bother to her, then maybe she should find a new location, though I'm sure she wouldn't want that because other venues won't be free or so accommodating to her demands. Choosing beggars, I forgot about that subreddit. It's one of my faves. No Concentrate says, is she paying you for the use of your barn and home bathrooms? If she is paying you enough to cover the hassle of moving anything Disney out of anyone's view and moving it back again, then sure, move the stuff. But if not, there's lots of other venues that aren't on your property and that she can carefully screen for Disney, not the a-hole. Maybe she would like to pay for a chemical toilet. Some are pretty nice, so no one has to even go in your house. Personally, I think that might be the best solution. Opie says she isn't paying us to use the space. The only thing that she's paying for regarding the space is hiring someone to clean the barn and yard after the event is done, but not for the space itself during the wedding. And one more comment from Good Story who says not the a-hole. Taking away the Disney aspect of it all. They want you to change your home in a significant way to accommodate guests to fit their wedding aesthetic. If they care to that extent, they may want to rent a few porta potties. You can get nice ones for weddings, and that way there's less wear and tear on your home. They can maintain the magic of their wedding day, and everyone wins. This is especially fair as you are not only giving your property to use, but giving away free labor to set up and decorate the space. I personally love it when people decorate their homes to do with their hobbies or interests or anything like that. Have big gaming posters up in their living room and just set up the way that they really want it, big game stations in the middle of the room. I know it's not for everyone, but because that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be your home, the place you're comfortable, the way that you love it. And for someone to want to change that like that, I think it does sound extremely entitled in this post to ask someone to do that after everything they're already doing and going to your parents and saying, and and then moaning to your parents about it as well. And I think at the very end of that story, it just sort of gives us a hint about your parents' attitude towards it all as well, telling you to grow up and take it down. I'll be telling them to piss off, maybe in a politer way. Maybe not. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you do in this one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from daughterbmw and asks, am I the a-hole for selling my daughter's car? I, 56 male, have a son, 28 male, and a daughter, 22 female. I like both of my kids equally, however, they are different individuals with different lives, so I help them based on their needs. My son did not do well in high school and went to a community college and decided it was not for him after a semester, went to trade schools and eventually settled on HVAC. Had issues sticking to things, so as a reward when he became certified in HVAC, I bought him a brand new truck as a gift. My daughter got into a good college out of state and was always more academically minded. When she was about to finish high school, it came to a surprise to me that she had taken it for granted that I would also get her a new car, even though I never said that. I explained that there would be no need for a college girl in a big city to have a car. She then asked if I could help with tuition. I did not pay for trade school either, so I declined. Eventually she seemed down, so I offered to buy a used car in my name, and she could use it for a while until I decided to sell it, but she would have to maintain it. She seemed really happy with that, so we got an old 99 BMW for really cheap. The body was in good condition, but the engine and transmission needed work, and it needed painting. She did the essential fixes first, but then slowly did unnecessary ones, even though I never asked for that, and repainted most of the car and had the interior detailed. When she came back for a visit this week after finishing her finals, I decided it was time to sell the car and listed it. She seems upset with me, even though she had agreed to it, and I never asked her to repaint the car. She said she thought I was going to sell it much later when it was rusted or something. She also says I can sell it more expensive because of her fixes, but the reality is that I got the car just before the pandemic, and used cars cost a lot more, since that is why I can sell it for more. I offered to pay her back for half of the paintwork. Am I the a-hole here? And we're starting the comments with Dawn, who says, okay, so your son gets an expensive new truck and your daughter gets a beat used car. Paid for the repairs on the car herself. So you can see nothing wrong with punishing success and rewarding failure. You're the a-hole. Edit, for all the comments I'm getting, I never said HVAC was failing. Bribing the son to start and finish is. Ace says, this post makes me so sad. Of course you're the a-hole, and helping based on their needs is you knowing you are favoring your son and treating your daughter like trash. You bought a car really cheap. Then your daughter paid for the engine and transmission work, painted it, detailed it and maintained it, and now you want to sell her car after you bought your son a brand new truck. I would never speak to you again. Sra19 says you're the a-hole and you clearly have a favorite. You bought your son a brand new truck but decided that your daughter didn't need a car. But when your daughter asked for you to help her with her tuition, you said no because you didn't pay for your son's tuition, conveniently forgetting that you did buy him a brand new truck. Not buying a truck for your daughter didn't stop you from buying one for your son, so why did not paying for your son's tuition stop you from contributing to your daughter's? Similar Pineapple says you're the a-hole. I thought you were going to say you bought your son a new truck and paid for your daughter's tuition. You didn't. You bought her an old car then decided to sell it with no notice. Did you sell your son's truck? Of course you're the a-hole for so clearly favoring your son. But then OP edits the post and says, okay, seems people thinks it was wrong, but my son only got the truck after schooling and my daughter has not finished school yet. I've not thought of a graduation gift yet, but the car is only listed. I will think about it and reconsider. Edit 2, okay, I will let her keep it and delist it for now. My plan was always to sell it, as I feel like 90s BMWs in good shape are desirable, but she seems attached to the car now. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And don't forget, at the very end of the video, there'll be a couple of playlists there that you can click on and it will automatically scroll through all the videos for you. So whatever you're up to, bit of running, bit of crochet. See my scarf on Twitter the other day? Get in there very slowly. Stitching's all over the place, but absolutely loving it. I'd love to see yours too over on Twitter if you have a moment of your time. But the playlist will continue going through each of the videos while you're doing whatever you're doing. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care.